I started dancing when I was about 6, 7, because in Canada, in Quebec, we all grow up ballroom dancing. We all kind of do social dancing. It's kind of like in the nature, kind of more like European. So I actually don't remember. I was very young and I was going out dancing and learning how to cha-cha and line dancing and all that stuff, round dancing. It's very popular there. So I danced pretty much all my life, really, since I was born.
Richard is a warm spirit, and he's very giving, he's very caring, he cares about all his students, and he motivates them.
I think Richard's a great example of a good teacher. It first of all takes patience, it takes insight, not just to the craft of dancing, I think it takes insight into human beings.
I think Richard inspires everybody. I think Richard shows people that it doesn't matter what's wrong with you.
I want to discover things and learn things. And that's one of the reasons I love to teach, because I myself love to learn different feelings or do different life situations. So that's why I think I like to teach my students, to make them enjoy different aspects of life and feeling. You know, I lived in a small town. My parents were actually pretty poor. We actually slept like 2 or 3 in a room. You know, I have 5 siblings, so there's 6 of us. So, I mean, all I remember, and my mom hates me for it, is like, why are we so poor? Why are we so poor? I used to always say that because, you know, I wanted to have nice clothes, I wanted to do nice things, but we had no money to do anything. When I was young, I hated it, really. I hated every minute of it because I was beaten up at school, we didn't have any money, and I was short and I was fat, so it was not too fun. Because I'm from Canada and everybody hockey play, and I wasn't interested. So when I was 15 years old, I was old enough to do it myself and pay for it, so I went. You know, I got beaten, I got laughed at, I got pushed, you know. Everything happened because boys don't skate. You know, in a small village, boys supposed to play hockey. I always say, you know, it feels like I was born at the wrong place, at the wrong time. My parents were not there money-wise, they were not there emotionally, they were not there monetarily, they were not there in any ways. They never supported me, they never asked me, what did you do today or anything. They were too busy surviving. I used to say, I'm going to take a plane, travel far away, and I'm never going to come back.
Dorothy, Dorothy. Icecapades presents Dorothy Hamill.
You know, I was in college at that time in a big city. I was studying accounting. Icecapades came in and they had auditions. So I auditioned and I was accepted. And so I just signed up, finished my degree and packed and left. Once we toured, I went back to not my hometown, but where I went to college, Sherbrooke University. And so it was fun because then they had like buses from my little village that came up. All my family, uncle and aunt and friends from school and everything came to see me. And that was actually really fun. The mayor gave me the, you know, like the key of the town, and I had the newspaper article, you know, so for like 5 minutes I was popular. So all the years that I made holes in the ice, you know, and all the hockey players were upset at me. And at least now I kind of got, so to speak, my revenge. I made it. When I was on the tour, I met some people from Los Angeles, and, you know, I kind of got friendly with these 2 girls from LA. And they said, oh, you know, why don't you come and, you know, visit and stay with us? You know, you can stay with my dad, you know, maybe you can work for him. He has a store, a leather store at Knott's Berry Farm. So I says, okay. So I came, and actually at that time during the tour, I was kind of dating her. She had a boyfriend at home. She was kind of dating both of us. I knew, but he didn't know, so I had to hide and everything. It got pretty messy. I mean, I got very depressed because she was like, well, my boyfriend knows now and my dad is upset, so, you know, he doesn't want you to work for the store anymore, so it's better for us now that you move out of the house. In one shot, my life fell apart. No more work, no more place to live, no more love. I mean, I lost everything. Did I want to go back to a small village where everybody beat me up and laughed at me? I went to a park in Orange County area at that time, and I had a truck from the Father Lumiere truck, and I put a hose to the gas. Of course, it's also a cry for help, because you wouldn't commit suicide if you feel powerful and empowered and strong. So you're helpless, so you don't know what to do, and you think it will never get better. I woke up in the emergency room, and then all I can remember is the nurse saying, "Oh, you're so cute, you're so gentle, why did you try to do it?" and everything. And I mean, it's a long story, but I was there for like quite a few days, because you know, you learn really quick. Once you're in the Looney Tune, you're in the hospital, the crazy house, you actually cannot get out right away. And this lady offered me to go to live in her house when I got out of the hospital.
And she told me that she had a roommate that was an excellent ice skater who loved to dance. And at that point, I was actually looking for a new teacher. So I asked her to ask him to come in and see me. So as soon as he came in to see me, we just really hit it off. He was obviously from Canada, and his main priority then was skating, but he was also a pretty good dancer at the time.
A free dance lesson. That was what drew me into London Studio. And Pat, the owner of the studio, interviewed me and says, "Oh yes, I've got a good teacher for you." She says, "Richard." And here comes this little boy loping over. Looked like he was about 15, maybe 18 years old. And I was horrified. I mean, here I am, an older woman, a mature woman, and here comes this little boy who's going to teach me something. He turned out to be exceptional, and he talked me into staying, and I had the lesson. Then I signed up for more. I stayed with him for 25 years.
And that's how I actually first got involved with ballroom dancing. As a teacher, I ballroom danced all my life. And then I kind of built my career, and I was able to move out of there and then make a living.
On his birthday, I think it was his 22nd or 23rd birthday, myself and all of his students, we planned to buy him a VCR, which he had never had. Always wanted one, but never could afford one. In those days, they were probably about $600, so it was a lot of money. So what I did, I had all the students hide in the back, where we had like a back room refrigerator. So I made him walk back into the back room, and there was probably, I don't know, about 15, 20 of his students there. And he screamed because they scared him. It was all in the dark, it was after work. And everybody was there, and he just cried. He cried his eyes out because he'd got a VCR and all these people. He never had a big birthday like that. Richard got very close to one of his students. Her name is Roberta.
When I came to the studio, I wanted to learn how to dance, and I wasn't interested in competing. I was very conservative, so to be able to dress up and be something else was something that helped me to get out of my shell. And we started competing. That's when it really hit me that, wow, I can dance.
Roberta was one of my first really serious students, and then we competed, and she actually was a very good dancer.
During the course of the dancing and learning about him, I fell in love with him, and we ended up getting married. To me, it was one of the most memorable days. I mean, he cried, I cried when we were exchanging vows and everything. And we didn't have much, but we had a small apartment, and I don't know, I was happy.
He has the innate ability to diagnose what you're doing wrong. And after 5 years, I still learn something new at every lesson. It's amazing. I've seen Richard when he teaches me. I've seen Richard when he teaches a lot of his different pupils. He teaches us all differently because it's not a book that you can read and do it that way. It's something that has to be emotional. It has to be sensual. It has to be physical. It has to be so many aspects of what we are. So he encompasses all of that.
We giggle and laugh, and he yells at us and teaches us technique, but there's the friendship there. There's a respect and there's caring, and I think all Richard's students feel about him the same way. But I am very attached to Richard, and I've been dancing with him all this time because it's not just a dance teacher, it's not just the steps, it's not just, oh gee, look, we're winning at all these competitions. It's not about that. It's the relationship. He's been a part of our family for 19 years, and it's been wonderful to be with him and dance with him. I've enjoyed him so much.
My business partner at the time was a gentleman called Martin Blaney, who I had actually come over from England with to open a studio here.
He was kind of like, he was national champion, and he did that with his students a lot. He competed professionally and with students, and he had a lot of good students. He was known.
And Martin was also an amazing dancer, one of the best ballroom dancers in England at that time. And he and Richard became very good friends, as we all did.
So he was kind of very flamboyant and out there, and I guess he got a liking to me.
Next thing I know, Richard and Roberta are divorcing, and Richard has a relationship with one of the other dancers there, Martin.
There was definitely a little triangle going there at the time.
I had an affair with him, and then, you know, he wanted to leave his lover, you know, and I would leave Roberta and we would go together.
I came from a small town, so I wasn't really familiar with homosexuality. And, when Richard finally admitted that he was gay, it was hard on me mentally because I thought, what did I do wrong?
He wanted to come out and be gay and be openly gay, that everybody knew, that he didn't have to hide it.
The first question they always asked me, well, did you know he was gay when I married him? And I was like, no, I didn't know he was gay. Sometimes they're born with those feelings, but because he was born Catholic, they thought he was going to be a priest. And he had the thoughts, I guess, pushed down the feelings. We had an active sex life, so that's what was very confusing to me also. I was in love with him. We consummated our marriage, and I said, and I was pregnant twice and never was able to carry. I would get comments from some of his students like, well, if he had dated me or he had been married to me, he wouldn't have been gay.
So obviously it was messy. It was a big mess.
And he, in turn, had a very long relationship with Martin Blaney.
I used to tell myself it would be easier if it was another woman. It was something I could combat. I can't combat being in love with another man. After the therapy and realizing that it didn't matter that it was a man or a woman, he fell in love with someone else, and that's what hurt.
We've been through some times in our friendship when he came out being gay and being involved with Roberta, his wife. I was close to her too. So it was kind of messy situation. We were not close at all for a couple of years, but then, like everything, time heals everything.
I don't believe in people that are married and suddenly they get divorced that hate each other. I don't believe in that. I mean, I don't see how you can love somebody and then hate them 24 hours later.
Why we started talking again, why, because after that we became really good friends, and I started dancing, competing with him again, and I traveled a lot of different places with him for competitions and for vacations.
It was difficult, you know, obviously, but I mean, now we're good friends, we're best friends. I remember being at the dance studio, and I called the doctor from the studio. We didn't have cell phone in those days, and I called, and you know, the guy said, yeah, you're positive, and hung up. I was diagnosed with AIDS, you know, with full-blown AIDS right away, so that was kind of a shock. I lost my sight, part of my sight in my right eye, and I was very sick in 1989. In those days, you could only take AZT. That's the only meds you could take, and it made you sick and everything, and most people didn't live anyway.
They still live their lives as a couple together. Richard, on one hand, is extremely focused. Richard took all the medications he was supposed to. He would come into work sometimes so sick, so terribly sick, but they told him, you have to take this medicine. It made him so ill. But he kept taking it,
a lot of people always ask me, weren't you upset that he gave it to you? You know, I mean, he didn't do it on purpose. We didn't know.
And Martin, on the other hand, was not so dedicated to taking the medicine because it made him so ill, didn't take it and died.
Martin was scared of dying, and I always say it's horrible, horrible, horrible. Horrible to see somebody that's so scared of dying. What can you do? You cannot say, oh, it's fine. Well, it's not fine, they're dying. A lot of people got cut in the middle a lot of the times, but it's special that, you know, everybody's here. Anything in life, when you're going on your path, on your road, and you suddenly have a block, you have two choices. You can go left, which is down, negative, or you can go right, positive. My friend Martin, that passed away from AIDS in '96, chose the left. He was, you know, he chose to not take his medication, not take care of him because he was scared or whatever the reason are. And I call it committed slow suicide. I choose to go right, you know, and I think because I tried to commit suicide before, I thought, I don't want to go there, I want to live. I choose right and want to live.
When I was in Hawaii dancing competition, he got sick and he had a high fever, and I took care of him, but he was so bad. But his mind is very strong, and then he tried very hard to do it.
I mean, I've seen him through happy times and very sad times, and he doesn't dwell there, you know. He mourns what he needs to mourn, but even in his mourning, he's inspirational because, again, he sees the light rather than the dark of everything.
I think because he has such a positive attitude on life and he's so motivated to stay active, he has maintained his health, his good health, I must say, through dancing.
He does exactly what he's supposed to do in taking care of his health. And he just lives his life like he doesn't have anything wrong with him. He doesn't complain about it. He's just extremely positive. He still dances. In fact, even when he knew he had, you know, HIV and he was sick at times, he was competing, dancing, competed all over the country, represented the United States in lots of competitions. Even sick as he was sometimes, he would get out there and dance. They always placed in the final.
This is Richard Cruteau and Maria Z from California.
Dancing to Somewhere in Time. I talked to Richard right before they went onto the floor, and he's actually suffering from the flu and has a very high fever.
They're dancing in competition with the flu.
Nothing really has ever held him back. I don't ever think it will. He's just an extremely strong person, very, very dedicated, strong-willed person.
I never thought I would live past 2000. So, you know, you think, oh, okay, I want to live until then. So you kind of take 1 year at a time and you just live and just do whatever it takes.
There were times where he'd get sick, and you know, I lived here in Orange County, and I would run to LA to take care of him, stay there a couple of days and take care of him until he was better, make sure he didn't have to go to the hospital. So when Michael came into the picture, it was nice for me too, because I had somebody to share all of taking care of him.
Richard and I met in 1997, 12 years ago, at basically a dating service.
It was like my 10th dinner.
It was sort of speed dating, but before speed dating.
It was actually Michael's first.
Everybody sat around in groups of different tables.
And there was like 8 people at each table, and every other person, so 4 of them were like frogs.
So that person hopped from table to table, and if you didn't have a frog, you stayed in your seat.
So between each course, the frog people would move table. So that way you get to meet a lot of people and talk to them.
He said he was a ballroom dancer.
And I had to leave early because I had to go to a party. So I remember leaving really, really quick, and before I left, Michael wasn't sitting at my table anymore, but I went to him And I gave him my business card, and I said, you know, to him, call me.
And I said, oh, okay. I was a little surprised, and he left, and that's how we met.
You know, we met, and he tried to call me back, and then I would never call him because I was away. And then when I came back, I was in the hospital for almost the whole month of January. So he actually came to my house, I think, at that time to see if I was there. And obviously, I had my car there, but I was in the hospital. So he thought I, never would call him back.
I had a very romantic idea of wanting a boyfriend. I don't care how many rings you buy or how fancy they are, it doesn't make it happen. You can't force it. So to have somebody love you actually is a privilege. I don't want to say an honor, but it's an amazing thing. Topic of HIV came up immediately. Richard was honest from date one. I already had experience with this because in the late 80s and early 90s, I actually lost all of my best friends. We just celebrated our 12th year in December. And the date is, anniversaries are not so clear when you don't have a wedding.
I tell people I've been the healthiest lately. I used to be in the hospital and everything. And one of the reasons I'm the healthiest, obviously, because I have a comfortable home. He cooks. He takes very good care. I always say, technically, he takes good care of me. A while ago, when I used to live on Orange, on the Overland,
Yes.
and I was very sick. And then she would come and bring me the strawberries, and she would make homemade soup. Huh?
That's so nice.
Mm-hmm. She used to be my lunch date.
That's nice.
I have a lot of my, friends and student clients. They always say, oh, I wish I could do this. I wish I would have done this when I was young. I wish I could do this. Again, I'm like, why are you wishing? Do it. Your tools need to be out. If they're in, your hips are closed. Just like Lucille, 94 years old, that I've known her for over 20 years, over my head, balancing on one hand. Now, how many 94-year-old lady do you know that dance?
You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shore.
They've all come into his life, and he's come into their life for a reason.
I don't even do the competitions nowadays, but he still pushes me to try to help me improve, and I really do appreciate that.
So very often I said, oh no, I cannot do the patterns. No, I don't want to do that. But he always says, no, you can do it.
He gets me to learn the stuff, and that's the best thing.
Most of the time he's like comedian, and then dancing is my therapy. He just makes me laugh whole time when I'm here.
I forget I'm a doctor. I don't even want to talk about anything that has to do with medicine that day. So we just talk about dancing, about my hair, about dresses, about shopping.
He's very kind of funny and making jokes. He's a fun person to be with. And he's a great teacher and also become my best friend.
I think he's an incredible human being. I think he's an example for all of us.
What do you remember when somebody dies? But do you have left memories, first of all? So memories, do you think, oh, I remember when I bought the car? No, you just remember when we went on this vacation and we went swimming and it was funny because this happened.
With Richard, it's almost like we take it a trip at a time. His horizon is planning the next trip. That's his big thing.
His general philosophy is to live every moment to its absolute fullest, and he does it. with 100% commitment.
My friends think I overdo it. I want to live 150%. You know, I want to overdo it, I guess. They think, you know, I never stop or whatever. But that's who I am, you know.
He lives his life probably more passionately than most people will ever live their lives. It's not stopped him doing anything that he's wanted to do. In fact, it's probably made him do more than he would have if he didn't have the disease.
I want to dance. I want to travel. I want to eat, you know, oysters. So, I mean, you know, I want to do things. So, I don't want to die yet. Not yet, you know.